Alright, sup everybody, welcome back to the Path of Rage. Today we are switching up our schedule just a little bit. Normally we would have a Star Citizen video today. That's going to go up tomorrow because boy oh boy did the Helldivers community explode into chaos this past weekend thanks to an absolutely boneheaded maneuver from Sony that just set the gaming community on fire. And they went full evil empire on it. And the Helldiver community rose up in rebellion, and we actually won. I'm Rage Games. We got a lot to go over with this Helldivers update, so let's get right into it. This whole scenario, I'm going to use a word I shouldn't, started off last week when Sony decided that they needed to make everybody who played the game on PC sign up for a PlayStation Network account. It had been completely optional for the first, 2-3 months of the game's release, and then PlayStation and Sony came along and said, nope, now it's being turned back on, because they said it had been turned off due to server issues, which we all know happened to this game at its launch. It had been turned off to help with that, and now they were turning it back on. Now, this created a lot of problems. First off, people had bought the game in, 122 countries around the world, had been playing it for 2 to 3 months, and these countries don't have access to the PlayStation Network. So once Sony did this, they were effectively told, you can't play your game that you paid for anymore without a PlayStation account. They can't get one in the country that they live in. And if they used a VPN to get around the location that they actually were in, that's a bannable offense from Sony as well. So they paid money for a game, and then they were told, you can't play it if you don't sign up for a service that you're not allowed to sign up for legally in your country. So you can understand why people were pissed. There's also the fact that PC players, such as myself, who don't have a PlayStation, don't give a flying fuck about PlayStation, or even want to play on a PlayStation, have no desire to sign up for a PlayStation Network account, especially in light of certain apps and APIs that Sony has. You can find these on their websites where they actively talk about monitoring your voice chat even with your friends to prevent you from speaking in a manner that they don't like. So you could be on a Helldivers mission with 3 of your closest friends talking shit at each other and insulting each other left, right, and center because that's the way your friend group is, and Sony wouldn't have liked it. And they could have banned you from the Sony PlayStation Network, even though you're not playing on a PlayStation. You would have lost access to your game, all because they decided that they don't like the way you speak. I personally, like so many other PC players, want absolutely nothing to do with the PlayStation Network and a company that feels it has the right to monitor my speech on any occasion for any reason. They can get fucked. Now, as I said, this obviously set off the community in a huge manner. And immediately, as soon as it happened, the review bombs started. And this game went from overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam, constantly gaining new players, having an amazingly good community. The major orders were keeping us all invested and having a good time, and people were genuinely talking about Helldivers possibly being Game of the Year already. And bam! After this announcement, over the course of the next 3 days, we ended up getting over 200,000 negative reviews to the game. Immediately, overnight. Positive reviews dropped off to nothing and went right into the shitter. Now Steam is sitting at mixed, whereas last night, before a final announcement, which I'm about to get to, was made, everybody was downvoting. There were no positive reviews, and the review score on Steam sat at overwhelmingly negative, and it went that way in a matter of days, which is not ironic when you think about it. Helldivers, the way the game is set up with the major orders and all of the community working together to defeat the automatons and the bugs and working on these major orders together, suddenly we had the ultimate major order. Stop Sony from putting this bullshit in our game. And that is exactly what happened. And over the course of this weekend, things got really ugly in certain spots. 3 of the community managers attacked the community outright. That is not acceptable to speak to a community that way when you are a community manager and the community is upset because your company and your company's publishers have pissed off the entire fan base. It was highly unprofessional to the point where it was barely offset by Johan Pilestad, the company's CEO, who everyone was loving before this. He had to get in on the Twitters and the Discords and whatnot, and kind of tamp down on all of this. He had some things to say. Obviously, they were disappointed in how things were going. He did admit that he was not blameless in this situation, that he knew that this requirement was going to come up. It was his decision to disable the linking when they did, for the reasons of not totally crashing the game at launch, and I get it. Again, he took responsibility for putting this back into the game and for how it was handled overall. Once the backlash to this boneheaded decision became apparent and as widespread as it did. I mean, the internet was on fire this past weekend, talking about nothing but Helldivers 2, in the gaming community anyway. Once it became apparent what this backlash was costing the game, and the way the review scores were going, and all of that, obviously, they're trying to do damage control, and Johan and a couple of the community managers at that point did say that they were talking to Sony, trying to get a solution figured out. And at this point, we still don't know if the people who bought the game in countries that don't have access to PlayStation Network will be able to continue playing the game. However, in the end, the Helldivers community and the gaming community at large won this battle against a greedy corporation. There is no reason for Steam users and PC-only players to sign up on the PlayStation Network other than to boost PlayStation's numbers for their shareholders. There was mention in the various tweets of how this will help them ban players better, as if banning people in this game is a huge requirement. I've got well over 100 hours into this game, and I have not seen a single thing happen in the game that would require someone to be banned. If you see somebody in chat who's talking shit and making racist remarks or whatnot, kick them from your game. If you can't kick them, mute them and block them. And then you never have to deal with them again. I am so tired of these companies thinking they need to save us from words. You know what? I'm sorry, folks. Maybe this is a controversial opinion. If you can't handle hearing somebody say mean words or read mean words in the chat, you don't deserve to be online. You need to grow up a little bit. Report people who are actively being openly racist or homophobic or whatever. They're pieces of shit. Report them, block them, be done with it. We don't need these companies coming in and saying, oh, we'll do it for you proactively. Oh, and by the way, you better watch what you say in case we don't like it too. This is not how this needs to work. None of this should have happened in the first place. And again, the way it went down, the way the review scores went down, demonstrated exactly how angry the gaming community is over this garbage. We're tired of it. We're tired of the greed from the corporations. We're tired of being monitored and told how to behave.
Let's go over here and help these guys.
And we expressed it in a very noticeable and unignorable way. And it worked. As of last night, recording of this video. So last night, Sony put out the following statement. Helldivers fans, we've heard your feedback on the Helldivers 2 account linking update. The May 6th update, which would have required Steam and PlayStation Network account linking for new players and current players beginning May 30th, will not be moving forward. We're still learning what is best for PC players, and your feedback has been invaluable. Thanks again for your continued support of Helldivers 2, and we'll keep you updated on the future plans. Now, as far as I'm concerned here, this is never should have happened in the first place. This is the only thing that Sony could have done to rectify the situation. And this whole we're learning what's best and your feedback is invaluable. Sony can go fuck themselves. They know exactly what they were doing, and the only reason why they stopped this is because it was made very apparent to them with refund requests how much money that this was going to cost them. Instead of just riding the gravy train that this game was showing itself to be so far, and going, wow, we've got something here that could really become the next big thing in gaming, possibly. Nope. We have to put our tentacles in there to boost our quarterly numbers, despite the fact that we're $1 billion profit company. Just like always before. I don't have any sympathy for Sony on this one. Who I do have sympathy for is Arrowhead. Yes, they had to put this in there. Yes, they had part to play in it. But this is the price you pay dealing with a publisher. And as they all expressed, they were not happy with the overall situation. And I don't blame them. They got caught in the middle. Now, the good thing is, ever since the announcement by Sony was made, Johan has gotten back, and he is impressed, saying he's impressed with the community, that we got this across to Sony, thanking them for keeping it optional. Excuse me. And they want to set a new standard for what a live game is, and how developers and community can support each other for the best game experience. Great. I'm all about it, because up until Sony forced this on everyone was loving Arrowhead. Oh yes, people bitched about patch changes and whatnot. You're going to get that. Some people live to complain about the slightest thing. If the gun that they love the most is suddenly changed even slightly, it's the worst thing ever. You're going to get that. This was a different thing entirely. Now that the situation is resolved, and we are not going to have to do the PlayStation account linking if we don't want to, thankfully. We have already seen that as of today, as a matter of fact, let me refresh this while I look at it. As of this very moment, there are now 41,100 positive reviews of Helldivers 2, and the negative reviews have stopped coming in immediately, showing that everybody was downvoting this game and leaving negative reviews entirely because of this PlayStation Network bullshit. I'm hoping that this, going forward, will be somewhat of a wake-up call to these publishers and these corporations. I know it's a pie-in-the-sky dream, but maybe, just maybe, something like this will get these bean counters to look at the actual gaming scene and go, this is what happened the last time we tried this, and look what it cost us. We got to find better ways of monetizing and better ways of keeping players happy, because that's how we get their money, when they're happy with us. I mean, you think about it. How many people, even though Helldivers gives you perfectly easy ways to get super credits and not actually have to spend money on the new war bonds, how many people were enjoying the game so much and didn't mind spending a couple bucks to get the new war bond because it wasn't in your face, it wasn't pay to win, it wasn't over the top, and it was a great game. Again, like I said earlier, they could have just rode this gravy train to its completion and raked in the cash. It's the same thing with corporations everywhere. They just don't know when to quit. But fortunately, we in the Helldivers community and the gaming community at large, I think this is a win for all of us. We managed in this instance to say, you know what? No, we're not having this. Get bent. Either give us what we want or lose your money on it and watch this thing go out of existence. And, well, we got what we want, which is awesome. Now, I do want to make this very clear. State this out for the record, for anyone watching this video or listening to it in the background. If you are one of the people who put up a negative Steam review over this, please go back and change it to positive or mixed or whatever. Don't leave it a negative review reflecting the game as being bad because this happened. Arrowhead made a great game here. The having Joel the Dungeon Master, keeping that galaxy map and Galaxy War refreshed and constantly keeping us players on our toes was fantastic. The way Johan got in there with cryptic messages about flying bugs being undemocratic rumors and stuff. All of that stuff was awesome. The game absolutely deserves an overwhelmingly positive review. So please, if you did leave a negative review to make your displeasure heard, please go back and fix that. Unless, of course, you're in one of the countries that still can't get onto it because of the PlayStation Network thing. I don't know how that's being handled yet. There hasn't been news on that as the time of the recording. I have to imagine that anyone who bought the game is going to be able to continue playing it. Maybe Steam just has to reactivate it. I don't know. So in that case, I can understand you not changing. But those of us who still have access to the game, who can still play the game, who left that negative review to make our displeasure known, now that we've done so successfully, let's show Arrowhead the love that they actually deserve for making this amazing game. Put it back to positive and get back to hell diving, slaying the automaton threat, slaying the bugs for their oil, and, preserving managed democracy in the galaxy. Just a lighthearted and funny little side note before we move on. Johan has posted up an accidental cape design based on the Steam charts and the negative reviews that a community member made, and has indicated in his Twitter thread that yes, this is in fact going to be a cape in the game. They're just working on a cool name for it. You know what? Full credit to to Arrowhead. You know what? You got to take your lumps, and when they come along, and the fact that they're going to come along and show humor at this over how this has all gone down, shows that they want this game to work and continue on and go forward. And I love this. So, moving on from the drama, which I honestly don't really want to cover. I don't want to be a clickbait channel, look at what they did this time type of thing. This needed to be covered, but I'm glad it's over with. So, moving forward now, we did complete last week's major order, liberated all the planets that we have, and now we have a new major order up, shown here on the screen. We have 3 days now to liberate 4 more planets in the Terminid sector, because the super colony has caused a sudden outbreak on multiple planets. So, we have to liberate Heath, Veld, Angels, Venture, and Akamar 4. Loading into the galaxy map gets us a new update on the major orders where it says success. Further calamity has been averted thanks to the swift and disciplined response of the Helldivers to deactivate the remaining Terminid control system nodes. With further termicide disbursement arrested, the remaining barrier planets are safe from suffering Meridia's fate. The cause of the TCS failure has been identified. The termicide functioned as expected, killing nearly 100% of all terminids and 0% of absolutely any other biological life. A nice little insert there. However, for the small faction of terminids that survived, exposure to non-lethal doses of termicide eventually caused beneficial changes to gene expression in a completely unprecedented process known as hormesis. On most barrier planets, this adaptation was limited to increase termicide resistance, but on Meridia, non-lethal termicide exposure caused higher reproduction rates and reduced generation time. Continued exposure to termicide is perpetuating this effect. The planet is now infested to a degree nearly comparable with the Terminid home planet, and scientists have classified Meridia as a supercolony. The infestation is so severe that conventional Helldiver operations on the planet would be ineffective. The Ministry of Science is hard at work on a solution. In the meantime, the Meridian supercolony is likely to accelerate the spread of Terminids in unforeseeable ways. Rest assured, the reckless scientists responsible for creating the termicide are being thoroughly investigated. With the TCS inoperable and this new supercolony active, the Terminids are now a greater threat than ever before. This is followed up with some further clarification in a second briefing, saying the Terminid threat continues to evolve. Massive bug outbreaks have suddenly erupted on multiple planets. The spores that caused these outbreaks originated from the Meridian supercolony. This is a new manifestation of termicide-induced adaptation. The supercolony appears to be producing far more spores than other infested planets, leading to unpredictable outbreaks within its vicinity. The supercolony is too thoroughly infested for any conventional operations there to have any effect. Our top scientists are researching effective countermeasures. For now, the Helldivers must contain these outbreaks immediately before they spread out of control. So there we have it. We now have a new major order. We have only 3 days to liberate 4 planets, but I think after killing 2 billion bugs in less than 24 hours, saving, what was it, 3 or 4 planets over a few days before against the automatons, and now actually having this real-world victory against a greedy corporation, and by voting with our wallets, we can take pleasure in the fact that Joel has decided to step up the challenge once more and give us these 4 planets to liberate. Let's take the enthusiasm that we had from fighting back against Sony and winning. I'm going to keep pointing that one out, folks. And let's bring it into this game here. Let's clear these planets of the Terminid threat, and let's keep this Helldiver community going. This game is awesome. Now that this hiccup is out of the way, I think that we need to do everything we can to spread managed democracy across the galaxy. Until the next time we play in the next video on Friday, if you thought that I did a good job on this video, give me a thumbs up. If not, give me a thumbs down. If you agree or disagree with me, I'd love to hear from you in the comments down below. I do actually like hearing from my community. Subscribe if you're new to help me grow the channel and beat the ridiculous YouTube algorithms. And until next time, I've been Rage at Games, and let's keep spreading managed democracy across the galaxy.